It was obvious as soon as I stepped through the doorway. Something stirred Darla. She stood in the living room, clasping her hands and shifting her weight from foot to foot. I'd seen her do this often enough in our 24 years of marriage to recognize the problem right away. Darla gets home from her dental work a half hour earlier than I do. Usually she uses that time to start making dinner and change her clothes. Today, however, she was wearing her work clothes, and there were no pleasant smells coming from the kitchen. When Darla changes her routine, something's wrong. "Dick, we need to talk," she began nervously. "Of course, dear," I replied quietly, dropping into the chair. The ball is now on her side. "What's wrong?" "I don't have an easy way to tell you this, Dick, so I'll just blab. I want a separation and possibly a divorce," she stated boldly. "I think a trial separation would be best, but with the understanding that it could lead to divorce in the future." "All right, dear," I replied calmly. "I will move out immediately." As I got up and headed toward our bedroom, I saw Darla's jaw almost hit the floor. I guess she had expected more discussion and questions on my part. While we were married, I never failed to enjoy reacting to a situation differently than Darla expected. To this day, she never ceases to be amazed. She was the predictable one, not me. If my immediate acceptance of her desire for separation took her by surprise, my return to the living room less than a minute later with 2 large and fully packed suitcases made her stagger. I set the luggage by the door, pulled a piece of paper out of my pocket, and held it out to Darla. "Here is my new address and phone number. You can still call me on my cell phone. I only have one separation requirement. If you have sex with anyone other than me, we immediately proceed with the divorce. If you are just trying to find yourself, as they say, we can get back together when you do. I'm not okay with just getting fucked a few times with no consequences or punishment, and then letting you decide you want me back," I warned. "One punch and you're out." Before Darla could speak, I pulled out my cell phone and dialed a number. "Hello, Becky? It's Dick. I was wondering if you'd like to meet me Friday night for dinner?" I asked. "You know the answer to that, Dick?" Becky laughed. "I'll be there with bells on, but I can forget about underwear." I grinned, closed my phone, opened the door, and grabbed my suitcases. I left a stunned and speechless Darla standing in the living room as I nonchalantly walked down the walkway to my car. Although it wasn't a gourmet dinner, Becky and I enjoyed a nice steak before retiring to my apartment. She had just brought me to the point of bliss when the phone by the bed rang. Holding me in her rather cozy love nest, Becky leaned over and picked up the phone. "Hello," she answered, catching her breath. "Darla, will he be able to call you back in a few minutes? He's in a bit of a bind right now and he needs to relax a bit, but I think I can hurry him up. Be nice and give him half an hour, well, just in case the train arrives at the station a little later than I expect, okay?" With those words, Becky hung up the phone and started riding me with redoubled energy. "Shit!" she exclaimed. "I didn't realize how arousing it is to talk to a woman when I'm having sex with her husband." This time, I joined Becky for the finale. I waited a few minutes for my heartbeat to return to normal and for Becky to rush off me. Then I leaned over to the phone and dialed the number that had been mine a couple hours ago, my home number. "Hello?" Darla almost shouted, answering before the first ring ended. "Is that you, Dick?" "Yeah, it's me, Darla. I'm sorry I couldn't reach the phone when you called, but I called you back as soon as I was free," I replied more than smugly. "What the hell is going on, Dick?" Darla demanded an answer. "You already had a place to stay and your suitcases were packed before I even told you I wanted to separate. Then I call your number to discuss our situation and this slut answers my phone calls. She almost admits that she's shaking you down right now. Let's just say I didn't want to be caught with my pants down this afternoon when you decided to tell me you wanted to separate. Being caught with my pants down a few minutes ago is much less unpleasant. Becky's not really a slut. At least I don't think so," I grinned, stroking her smooth ass. "I guess I could ask her about it if it's important for deciding if we're going to reconcile or not." "Bastard!" Darla blurted out. "You told me we weren't going to have sex with anyone while we were apart. This is just a test." "That's not exactly what I said, Darla," I countered. "I told you that if you have sex with anyone else, we're definitely getting a divorce." "I never said anything about not having sex." "You're a real piece of shit," Darla snapped at me. "Why do you think you can play by different rules or even dictate them? If you can go out and fuck some slut, I'm damn sure entitled to sex too. What's good for the goose is good for the gander and all that, Dick. Of course you can, Darla. I'm just telling you it's bound to lead to our divorce. I won't be a cuckold, I declared. Then we should get a divorce because you screwed the bitch, shouldn't we? Darla asked. I think we should file for divorce Monday morning. That seems fair, doesn't it? Not really, Darla. Here's my reasoning. You're the one who decided we should split up. That meant I was removed from my sexual partner against my will. You did it of your own free will. There's a huge difference. Besides, I told you up front that I would divorce you if you had sex with anyone but me. You never said anything like that to me. Finally, despite all of the above, you still have every right to file for divorce. If you want to, go ahead and file. It's that simple, I concluded. But I'm not sure I want a divorce, Dick. I just want a separation to think about some things, Darla insisted. Then there's no problem. We're separated. You have what you want, I concluded. But you're sleeping with that girl and I can't have sex or you'll divorce me. That's not fair, Darla complained. Darla, I didn't ask for a separation. I didn't want it. I wanted my life and my wife the way they were. Well, almost. You took that away from me as a result of the separation. I mean, I'm not going to go without sex because you have some bug up your ass. If it makes you happy, you can come here 3 or 4 nights a week and we'll sleep together. What kind of separation is that, Dick? I never heard of a couple separating and the woman letting the man have her all the time to keep him faithful. Then it wouldn't even be a separation, would it? Darla demanded clarity. I haven't read the separation manual yet, Darla. I can see that I need to be more specific here. If you do decide to come and force me to sleep with you, be prepared for it. I firmly believe that I am not going to allow this separation idea of yours to curtail my sexual appetite as our marriage has already done. I now realize and openly admit that I like all sorts of sexual positions and activities. I don't want you lying like a log motionless for a few minutes as if you're making a great personal sacrifice and you still expect me to stop sleeping with real women? If you want to show up at my door to satisfy my sexual hunger, bring lubricant, lipstick, and whipped cream. What is wrong with you, Dick? All I wanted was a simple separation to see if we'd stay married. In a couple hours, you've turned into a sex devil. You're crude, you're vulgar, you're crude, you're vulgar, you're vulgar. You've probably been cheating on me behind my back for years. Bullshit. I've never cheated on you or asked to be separated. I'm just trying to find myself. Right now, I'm finding myself with another woman. We can talk again tomorrow, I joked, hanging up the phone. Wow! Becky laughed. This conversation is a real turn-on. You laid down the law for your wife. Did I mishear her call me a whore? I've always been an observant person. It was natural and was helpful in many ways. It prevented many of the surprises that constantly thwarted most people. My wife Darla, on the other hand, hardly ever noticed anything unless it bit her in the ass. Darla was very vocal about a new dentist who came to the clinic where she worked. He was in the final stages of a divorce from his wife, who was an unfaithful, cheating whore. At the same time as he should have been counted among the saints, at least in Darla's opinion. Then a few weeks ago, Darla stopped talking about him. Any questions I asked were deflected. It was as if this new guy had fallen off the planet. Darla's silence on the subject excited me more than her incessant chatter. Our phone was tapped, conversations were recorded, and her emails were forwarded to me. I hired a private investigator to see what he could tell me about the situation. From all the evidence, there was a clear pattern of seduction. Dr. Burns, as he was known professionally, was trying to get under Darla's skirt. He was getting divorced because he had done the same thing at his previous clinic. There were even a couple of his old patients who were close to accusing him of ethical violations. The guy was a scoundrel. To her credit, Darla had managed to resist so far. She refused to cheat on her husband or dissolve the marriage. Then Burns started pushing her toward separation. He argued that Darla would not cheat if she was in separation and had sex with him. Consequently, my stern warning to Darla about having sex with anyone but me was necessary. If she cared about the idea of staying married to me, she would have to keep this man's pants on. Becky had only been my co-worker for a few months, but we had become firm friends. She was a widow and had recently gotten a transfer to the West Coast to be closer to her daughter and grandchildren. When I explained to her my marital problems with Darla and my plan to bring the situation to a critical juncture, Becky quickly volunteered to be the other woman. Reading Darla's emails and listening to her phone conversations, I learned that she was going to announce the idea of a trial separation on Friday afternoon. It wasn't hard for me to go home for lunch and pack a couple of suitcases. I then moved into Becky's apartment as she had 2 months left on her lease. I continued to keep an eye on Darla. I would seriously dump her on the side of the road if she even did anything inappropriate to Burns. I was a faithful husband and devoted father to our son and daughter. They graduated from a local university and had good jobs in neighboring states. I wasn't going to be a cheater or some kind of womanizer. I figured that if Darla wanted me back, she would have to convince me it was worth it. I wasn't going to beg her. If we managed to remain a married couple, the status quo still wouldn't return. I wanted more out of my marriage than sex out of favor once every couple weeks. I wanted a woman who was willing to accommodate my desires and would even up the ante at times. I'm not going back to the monastic life. I had just gotten to my apartment after dropping Becky off at the airport when my doorbell rang. I was more than surprised to find Darla standing there sobbing. I walked her into the apartment and sat her down on the couch, sat down next to her and waited for her to talk. It took a couple minutes, but eventually she pulled herself together and told me what was bothering her. "Dick, I've been so stupid. It probably won't surprise you when I tell you that Dr. Burns has been pushing his wedges on me for the last few weeks. You seem to know more about who I am than I do. He convinced me to ask you for a trial separation so we could sleep together," Darla admitted. "He told me that if we were separated, it wouldn't be cheating and that you would even treat me better when I decided to get you back. Things definitely didn't go according to plan. You were ready. Your bags were packed. You had a place to live and another woman to date. And here I am with my brilliant idea. I'll never be able to figure it out, I think. But I think so much about what I'm going to do, but I should have known you'd be light years ahead of me. When I called you Friday night and this woman answered and almost admitted that you were sleeping with her, I almost died. Then when you called back, I knew you had just finished doing it with her. That hurt like hell, Dick," Darla sobbed. "I spent the whole weekend thinking about what you said. I gradually realized that you had honestly framed the situation for me. I was the one who asked for the separation, not you. I had planned to have a few nights of sex with Ed Burns and then let you crawl back home. You'd just be an unconscious victim of my stupid scheme." Darla didn't have the sharpest mind, but she was always honest and open. It was one of the reasons why her actions lately had caused so much anxiety. She wasn't designed to be secretive and conniving. It just wouldn't be her. Turns out you weren't an unconscious victim. You somehow knew what I was planning and turned the tables on me. In the blink of an eye, everything changed, and now you were having extramarital sex without guilt or remorse. I would have lost my marriage if I had slept with Ed. Finally, after hours of thinking and more yelling and self-pity, I realized what I was trying to do to you and to us. I even realized your quick and very effective response to my stupid, selfish, and completely undeserved actions. You got me good, Dick, but I deserved it. I decided to tell the good doctor this morning when he came to work that he was out of line," Darla concluded. "So you just scolded him and expected me to forget all about it, Darla?" I asked. "Am I supposed to forget that you were willing to risk our marriage for some fucking asshole? That you were willing to put me through hell because some jackass wanted to get up your skirt? Darla, you're a beautiful woman. There are plenty of men who would do anything for you. Do I have to worry about you doing it with every man who looks at you? No, Dick. I'm not the one who chased Burns away this morning. When he arrived, there were a couple of cops waiting for him in the parking lot. He was arrested and charged with rape and who knows what else. One of our patients, Mrs. Gunn, claims he molested and raped her while she was under anesthesia. The investigation led a couple of other women to report inappropriate behavior on his part. He got nailed. Darla grinned grimly. That's the piece of shit I risked everything for, Dick. I can't say I'm surprised, Darla. It was pretty obvious to me that he was a wily hound with the scruples of a street cat. Now he's out of sight, and you think I'm going to forget all about it? No, Dick, Darla replied slowly. I was hoping you'd keep your word if you hadn't lied to me. I've never lied to you, Darla, and I always try to keep my word. I just don't know what you're talking about, I replied confused. You told me I could come here 3 or 4 nights a week. You said it would save you from having to convince other women to share your bed, remember? Darla asked. Yes, I now recall saying something like that when you mentioned it, I admitted. I also told you that I would not go back to the way things were. I think I know what you mean, Dick. Maybe you can help me learn to be more sympathetic. I'll promise you that, Dick, if you promise me you'll never see her or any other woman again. Becky was probably at that moment flying over Colorado and had no intention of ever coming back. I didn't know of any other women that I could let have any fun with, and I really loved Darla, so the decision was obvious to me. It's a deal, Darla, I vowed. There will be no other women as long as you are mine. I emphasized the word personal. I won't even let you flirt with another man without my explicit permission. No problem, Dick, Darla squealed. I can't believe you're willing to give up that other woman for me, but I'm so glad you did. You won't regret this decision, Dick. Oh, here's more proof that I'm serious, my dear. With that statement made, Darla reached into her purse, pulled out lip gloss and other supplies, and placed it all on the table. Honey, is there a specific order in which you want to use these products? Darla smiled seductively.